Hello there. The nice folks at GearBest sent me this. It's called a Fluoureon QX80. It's obviously a little tiny 80mm quad, complete with camera, VTX and flight controller. So let's take a bit of a closer look at it.
Well, I thought a quick unboxing was in order. This is what you get in the post. Inside, unexpectedly, completely built, is the little quad itself. You also get two 1-cell 600 mAh batteries with two little Velcro pads to stick them on. One set and two sets of props. A charge cable and a little tool to get the props on and off, and some instructions. So a few notes on the quad. Lots to like. For example, the fact that the camera is at a slight up angle, which means you don't have to mess around with it and you shouldn't just get the floor as you're going along. Also liking the fact that the battery is 600 mAh instead of the normal sort of 200 you might get on these little single cell batteries. The only real issue I've got with this is, well, I kind of expected this to come unassembled. If you look at the web page, that's what you expected, but it came in one piece. Now, this might be good if it wasn't for the fact that it doesn't come with a receiver. So this F3 border here is basically stuck on with this sticky bit that is going to need peeling off for me to solder a receiver to this line here. This is UART2 that needs to go in. I've already prepared a FreeSky receiver to put on, which is going to be this one, which is going to sit on there somehow. But to do this, I'm probably going to have to peel this away so I can get in there to get my soldering iron in without burning this carbon fibre. So yeah, it would just been a bit easier if this wasn't already stuck on there. But you know, minor point. The other thing that strikes me as a bit of an odd choice is this charge cable. As you see, this is a 2-cell balance lead, which then splits off to charge each battery. So you have to charge both batteries at once, and each is treated as a single cell. This is okay when you've got two batteries that are at about the same level. If you haven't, it's not the best way of charging level, because one's going to get overcharged and backed off while the other's still coming up. I can't help thinking it might have been easier just to give your normal USB type charger lead. We'll see how that goes. I'm really excited about putting a proper FreeSky receiver on something tiny. Aside from the fact I shouldn't lose it by going like 30 or 40 meters or around the house, I like the fact I'll be able to use my Taranis, set up what modes I want. Maybe I can fly the K away. Let's see what happens. Well, first things first, let's get this receiver on there and get this thing all in together, and we'll see what we've got. Now the manual's here pretty good. It gives you information on the dip switches to set the VTX, how to set up in Cleanflight depending on sort of receiver you use, and a good diagram of the flight controller. Although weirdly, my channel alignments didn't seem to match up. What I thought was frequency group F, channel 1, turned out to be channel 4 when I actually looked at it, which I thought was a bit weird, but seems to look in okay. So having got the receiver on, I hooked things up to Cleanflight just to go through that. Normal USB or mini USB, and just gave the quad a quick waddle, so that all seems good. Port-wise, UART2 was already set to serial RX, which is what we need for S-Bus. And going into configuration, we've already got the RX serial set and S-Bus is set, so this is all done for us, nothing to really do here. That's good. Failsafe, I didn't touch. PID tuning, the values I know are going to look quite different on a mini quad, especially that yaw value, bizarre. And then receiver, this was a bit weird as the channel mapping was wrong. So you just need to make sure that does match up correctly. And when you change your map, don't forget to click on save, which I forgot to, which confused me for a second. vastly modes. It comes with arm and angle set up on Ox1. I changed this, so I've now got arm, horizon, beeper and bizarrely air mode, because that's how I had set up on all my other quads, so I just thought I'd copy it. I don't think air mode's going to be necessary on this day. And that was about it. Nothing else to do that, so disconnect and we're ready to fly.
So here's the finished article. And just to explain what I did, I think we need a close-up view.
Okay, so we have the FreeSky receiver here on top, almost disappearing into the blackness. A bit of a sticky there, and the rubber band helps. I've squeezed on this little beeper just here, so the idea is I can find it if it goes down, and it can beep about the battery situation. Battery wise, that goes underneath. Feels like quite a big battery for the size of the quad, so we'll see how that goes. And perhaps the weirdest thing are the FreeSky antennas. So I've tried to get kind of a 90-degree angle here. So I've got the antenna encased in a little zip tie and a piece of shrink wrap, and tried to get this one bent up to give myself 90 degrees. When you look down on it, you can see that there's not a lot of gap between the props and the VTX here. It's all quite close, so you can't have anything sticking straight up there, else it'll get chopped. But yeah, hopefully it'll fly nice. It's certainly different and interesting. I'm looking forward to taking it out and seeing how it does. So jump cut to that bit next. So here's the first battery in the house, and the first thing I really thought was, wow, this thing's quite quick. It really felt like it wanted to go, and it was really quite flinchy on the controls. You didn't need much input for it to go. It was quite hard to get hold of. The other thing I noticed immediately is either those batteries are rubbish, or the voltage detection on the F3 board is terrible, because I had to turn off the voltage alarm because it was just going all the time. So I went out in the garden, and this felt on the default settings like a far more natural place from it. You could really let loose a bit more, even in quite a small garden like mine. It was good fun just racing around things and generally crashing into any bits of garden furniture you have. I can imagine you get some nice little circuits in a few of you. So I took it to the field for the next charge up, just to see how it would do with A, the range, and B, what the conditions were like. So today is, well, it's not a calm day exactly. There was sort of moderate bits of breezes, and it could be a little bit gusty. So you're seeing in these turns here that when it turns, it gets more of itself into the wind, and that can cause a real problem. If we get down low here and hide behind the trees, it's pretty stable. But as soon as you get that quad up in the air in a coordinated turn, it can really cause a problem. It's like trying to ride a roller coaster, trying to fight with the controls. At the same time, quite perversely, it's quite good fun just to fight along with it. As you see here, it goes quite a nippy little speed. There's a little bit more weight to it, so it handles the wind a bit better than these other small quads, like the Inductrix rather. It really gets thrown around by the wind. This one is not too bad, although as you can see, it's a case of handling it rather than anything else. But yeah, it was good fun just flying around this little circuit, and once again, I'm sort of emulating someone with a really big garden, where you could do even more. But the more sheltered you can get, the better. So I fitted a FreeSky receiver, and I sort of joked about doing a kilometre, but I thought, oh, let's see how far we can get out. I mean, I haven't got a very big field here. It only goes to about 250 metres if you go all the way past the tree line at the end. And I knew that it was going to certainly be interesting on the little quad, because obviously I'm going up slightly higher, trying to get a decent video signal on this little 25 milliwatt system. But I can feel, and I think you can see it, that there's a gradual decline as we get further in the video.
So we kind of, by the time we get to about 200 meters here, I think it's looking a bit sketchy. Control signal, on the other hand, was absolutely fine, of course, not a problem there. I mean, if you want to go silly, you can put a helical on your goggles and try and, point it at what effectively is a flea, but that's quite silly. Although now I've said that out loud, of course I'm going to go back and do that at some point, just for fun. Because it's an A setup, we can of course do some flips, but like all these tiny quads, they're not imbued with particularly powerful motors, so get some height and use a lot of recovery distance because they will drop like a stone. So flying this indoors, I needed a bit more of a setup. So what I decided to do is go and set up a profile on Cleanflight for indoor flying. So I'm showing the defaults here, and this is, you can see the thumb movement here on the sticks as it comes, and it really does move the quad around a lot without much real movement. So for doing exploring, trying to go slow into little places, it's not the best. If I switch to profile 3 here, which I've set up for my indoor flight mode, you'll see that my big stick movements does a lot less. So I've upped the expo and I've taken the RC rate down a bit, and that works a lot better for indoors. So here's a bit of indoor flying on the new calm mode, which is a lot easier. You can really go slow and take time to explore things. At the same time, if you let it, it will still try and fly along. It doesn't take much angle for the speed of this thing to really get going. But on the plus side, you only have to pull back for it to slam the brakes on effectively. I think there's some PID work still to do, so I've got a little bit of a shake there on the roll axis, but it's more of an evolving thing. So what are these things like in a crash? Well, I crashed it loads of times. A lot of them quite unexciting, just into grass and catching things, but some real bangs into solid objects, and I haven't been able to damage a thing. I was worried initially about flying indoors because of course the props are out there, but despite hitting a bunch of stuff, I've yet to damage a prop.
Okay, so while that flight footage is on, I thought I'd add my final thoughts here on this little quad. As with all these little quads, there's always a bunch of plus and negative points. Though on this one, it kind of depends on what sort of flyer you are and your experience level in a lot of these things. So let's talk about a few of the negatives first. So the lipos, these little guys, not so great. I don't know if there's nothing on the C rating of these batteries, but either the F3 board can't detect the voltage very well, or the voltage is sagging awfully. If you saw that bit where it was just taken off and it was beeping, so either they're dipping way down or they're rubbish. The other problem with the lipos is, on my charger at least, I couldn't use something that just used a balance connection. Fortunately, remember these little Hubsan things? They come with these chargers, and they worked fine. Same connector, USB. Also means I can charge on the go because I've got a USB power bank, and so I can take that with me. That's not a problem. The VTX manual wasn't right. I seem to be on channel 4 when the documentation says it would be on channel 1. That's not a huge issue because I found the channel, but I'm still wondering, well, is it definitely that channel, or am I on a different band, or am I just close to it and getting it? So that could be a little better. Plus points, it goes really quick and it flies pretty well, unless you're outside and there's a bit of wind, and when you're going along fine, you turn it this way, it becomes a sail, and you get that very strange and odd movement. But still good fun to fly, and it handles the wind better than the Inductrix for sure. It's also very tough. I've slammed it into the ground, into walls, I've caught these props on everything, and nothing's broken. As I said before, I think the fact these are on rubber bands and these can all move about is helping. This is carbon fibre, but it's not it's not thick stuff. You'd imagine this would just smash to pieces. Of course, the weight of it means there's not so much kinetic energy there. The battery is the big thing, and hopefully that will just come away and not take the rest of it with it. So that's great. So the things that are sort of plus or minus points depending on your point of view, really. So it uses Cleanflight, which is great because I can set up different profiles, I can change my pitch tuning, I can have it flying in the way I want to. Negatively speaking on that though, if you're not used to Cleanflight, or you haven't tuned up a quad before, or you're not familiar with how the whole thing works, it's going to be more difficult. And having it badly set up is, well, put it this way, the default setup on this one made it pretty tricky to fly indoors. It was a little bit crazy. So watch out for that. I mean, it really comes down to the fact that it's not your first quad, because and it's another plus or minus point is the fact that you use your own receiver. Brilliant, because the Inductrix, I've lost signal at 20 meters away before. This thing, I'm going to run out of video range way before I ever get to the control signal. Again though, it means that we have to peel away the bits and we have to solder things on, and again, it's not a beginner thing. It's not the, here small child, have this quad, you'll be fine. But it does mean that I can use my Tyrannus instead of this awful thing I got with the Inductrix, which means I can't use my switches and it has no range. So good for me, not good for everybody. The third thing, which is a plus or a minus point, depending on your point of view, is it's quite challenging. You saw outside that the thing was all over the place. I quite like that. I found it, I had to get my concentration face on and think about what I was doing, and have an interesting time, taking it around the field. Other people won't like that. They'll want something that will just fly and be easy peasy. And if that's the case, it's probably not for them. But I like that. I suppose this is in a vaguely unique position in terms that it's, I think, the only almost ready to fly micro where you have to add your own receiver. There's some other types which come with receivers, either DSMX or FreeSky compatible. But I'm hearing that FreeSky compatible one doesn't have the sort of same range as a normal FreeSky. So it's kind of a crowded market, and they all have the same issue, which is the default motors that comes with them aren't powerful enough. Really, you want something that's going to act like a 4S little mini quad, just shrunk down a bit. It doesn't. When you are coming down or you're going along, you really have to manage that throttle to know what you're doing, and it's up there quite a lot just to get it straight and level. Obviously, you can change these, you can get better motors. It would be nice if people actually bought them out with the decent motors in the first place, then you wouldn't have to mess around. That said, for the market of these microquads, this is a pretty good one, I think, and I'm enjoying flying it. I just need to get more lipos, better lipos, and play around with it some more. But I imagine I'm just going to take this with me in lots of places whenever I go flying the big quads, because this is small and it works off my Tyrannus. This can come along, and if we find a tree, it's like, let's go up a tree, let's go through a bush, that sort of thing. So yeah, good stuff. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll catch you later.